Well, I guess I'm last there, and I must say that it's a tremendous honor, first of all, to be a part of the Hall of Fame, and even a bigger honor to be on the stage with these great players. It's a pleasure to have all of you attend this, and when I found out about my election back in January of 2003, 18 days later, my father passed away, and we were talking about, you know, how influential our fathers are and have been, and my father was my coach in Little League, Pony League, American Legion, and he attended all the games whenever I came out to the West Coast to play the Dodgers and down in San Diego against the Padres and everything. Even though my wife's a little upset that I'm up here instead of being home with the grandkids and the rest of my family, I think about my dad, and I wish he would have had the opportunity to have been here for the ceremony in July, but unfortunately I just knew that his spirit was with me, and he was right there when I was able to share my speech, and I had lost my mom at an early age, so you know, Father's Day weekend is a special weekend, and my wife kind of surprisingly stuck a card in my briefcase, which she told me not to open up until tomorrow, but nevertheless, Father's Day is very special, and like Knucksy just said about all the fathers that are here with their kids, that's what it's all about. That's what Cooperstown's all about, and there's a great history here, and I just hope you enjoy the rest of this weekend and have the opportunity of going through the hallowed halls of Cooperstown.
Well, we have here tonight 7 of the greatest players to ever play the game of baseball. So let's hear a bit about each of their careers. Bob, many people believe that you were the hardest throwing pitcher of all time in Major League history. You played at a time, however, when they could not measure how fast your pitches were on radar guns accurately, but there were some interesting ways that people found to measure your fastball, and I understand that that included racing your fastball against a motorcycle. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that story.
In my opinion, the fastest pitcher of all time was Walter Johnson. I knew Walter Johnson quite well. He managed the Cleveland Indians the year before I got there, which was 1936. And I got to know him well because he was always around with Clark Griffith when we played in Washington, D.C. He was a one-pitch pitcher. He threw sidearm. The mound in the Washington Griffith Stadium in Washington was about 3 inches high. That was the days because he threw sidearm. And they measured the pitches in 1940. They ran it by a motorcycle, and I gained 13 feet on it in 60 feet 6 inches, which wound up 104. In 1946. After being in the war 4 years, I was aboard the battleship Alabama for 34 months on the guns. And Clark Griffith wanted to make some money, as usual. They brought all the fully electric cell devices in from the Aberdeen Ordnance Plant in Baltimore, or Aberdeen, Maryland, called the it's a weapons laboratory. It's the proving grounds for the weapons that our military uses, still is. And they put the full electric cells over home plate. And I threw through that at 107.9. Now, you couldn't maintain that speed during a ball game. You might, on a good day, you might do 102, 113, 14, 15. But it's not so much how fast the ball is, it doesn't have any movement on it. And when you ask me about this new young kid that's coming up with the Washington Senators, I saw him pitch. He has a great career ahead of him, but he loses 2 to 3 miles per hour when he gets a man on base, which it takes a stretch. But I still say Walter Johnson is throwing between 108 and 110. But I had a pretty good curveball. We call the curveball the epileptic snake.
Well, going from one of the hardest throwing pitchers in Major League history to one who used a little bit of a different tactic. Phil, the lineups are set. And I understand that you will be on the mound starting the game tomorrow. Is the knuckleball ready to go?
I am?
I think so.
What's my pitch count tomorrow?
No pitch count.
Well, hey, just give me the ball whenever. I don't care if I pitch first, in the middle, or last. It's just, and I think most of the pitchers will agree with me that when you get that ball in your hand on the mound and the catcher gets down there, gives you that sound, that batter walks up to you, it's a whole new different world. It's a whole new different ball game. So I'm excited. I did not know I was a starting pitcher tomorrow. I did not know that.
You better get your rest.
I never did when I played, so why would I tomorrow?
Well, Ozzie, you're actually, I don't know if you guys know the lineups. I believe you are batting leadoff tomorrow in the top of the first against Phil.
Better get
And
your rest.
you had an opportunity. You had several opportunities to face Phil Niekro during your career. Can you tell the rest of us what his knuckler was like from a hitter's perspective and how you approached going to the plate against that type of pitcher?
Man, I hit him good, boy. He was real comfortable. No, Phil was, all of these guys were very, very competitive, and it was always part of the challenge of going up there and facing the best. And you knew that when you faced Phil that you had your A game on. You had to have a strategy. The ball floated over, depending on the wind that day. The ball could move 4 or 5 different ways before it got to the plate. But my philosophy with trying to hit the knuckleball was just stay back and let the ball get there. And eventually it did. I always tried to hit his fastball though, because his fastball was about 82, 83. About 82, 83.
Oh, with a good wind behind me, I could get it up there at 80, 81, yeah.
Good. So, but that was really the strategy. I was a guy that was a contact guy, so it was a little bit different for me. Guys with big swings sometimes he probably loved to pitch to guys like that. But for me, I was a contact guy, and I always tried to get him in a situation where he had to throw me a fastball. And as I said, it wasn't 107 miles an hour, but it was nice and hittable.
epileptic.
It was nice and hittable.
Ozzie, it was the epileptic knuckleball.
Epileptic knuckleball. It was fun playing against him.
Well, Ozzie, you had some big hits in your career, perhaps none bigger than the one you had in Game 5 of the 1985 National League Championship Series against the Dodgers. Can you take us through that famous walk-off home run that you had?
Well, there are a lot of guys up here, Harmon, Gary, not you, Rollie, but that have
You only hit 2 home runs.
hit a lot of home
You got to
runs.
remember one
I'm
of
getting
them.
to it. I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it. You see, these guys hit 500, 600 home runs. It's all about timing. When you hit the home run. Yeah, I only hit 2, but they were very, very important. They were very memorable, and I was fortunate enough to have the great Jack Buck at the mic at that particular time. And one of the things that I've always said is that improvisation is one of the greatest assets that you can have. And when you listen to the great announcers of our day, they had this uncanny knack of being able to say the right thing at the right time. And I don't think that was anything that Jack had thought about. It was just one of those things. Smith corks one down the line, could go crazy, folks. The Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. I'll tell you a funny story. I had a little kid. That came to a card show one day. He's about 5 years old. And I was signing his card, and his mother says, why don't you do it for him? The little kid memorized that, every word of that. And 2 weeks ago, yes, so he's 7. He's 7 years old. He came back and he memorized that, and she said that every time that they get in the car, he has to stick that tape in, and so it's one of those things that will be around forever, and it's just nice to be a part of history that way. And I had no idea that when I got up that day that the day would end the way that it did, and it was just a great moment, and that's what it's all about, great moments in this game, and I think that's what we all share, those great moments.
Absolutely. Well, we spoke of Ozzie's dramatic postseason heroics in 1985, but the following year, Gary, you had a part in some postseason heroics yourself. During the 1986 World Series, trailing 5-3 against the Red Sox going into the bottom of the 10th inning. We have some Red Sox fans here. You came to the plate with 2 outs and nobody on, representing the last hope for the New York Mets. What was going through your mind as you came to the plate for that at-bat?
I just didn't want to be a trivia question, you know? Who made the last out of the 86 series? You know, what went through my mind was just simply that we were like the cardiac kids all year. And, of course, the year before when the Cardinals won, that was our rivalry.
We beat you guys that year.
Yes, you did. Okay, you beat us in '87 also. Okay, but anyway, '86 was our year. Do you remember that, Oz? Okay.
No, I don't remember that.
Anyway, when we started off the season, you know, that was the one thing that I do remember after the Cardinals beat us in '85. Davey Johnson said, "We go into St. Louis. If you beat them at least 3 out of 4, you know, you'll go ahead and take the pennant." And sure enough, we went in there and swept them, beat them four games, and from that point on, we always just kept looking back at you guys, you know. But, you know, to come up there in a situation like that, and the many dramatic heroes that came up to the plate and came through, the Strawberries and Keith Hernandez's and Wally Backman's and Ray Knight's and Mookie Wilson and Lenny Dykstra, all those guys. And it was just a great year. And I guess sometimes teams are destiny teams. And it just seemed as though that was the way it was meant to be that year. For us to come back in the manner that we did, and for Bill Buckner to be remembered for the biggest blunder in sports history is unfortunate because he had a great career. But for us to have won Game 6 in the manner in which we did, the momentum had definitely swung back our way, and the reason why we were able to pull it through and win Game 7. It was a big thrill for me just to have played in one World Series, and you know, I know that anyone up here that's been in a World Series, that's what it's all about, and that's what, you know, maintains the history of this great game, is to have that opportunity of at least playing in a World Series, because that's what we strive for every year, is to win the ring, nothing else, really.
All right. Harmon, over the course of your career, you earned a reputation as one of the most feared power hitters of all time, belting those 573 home runs. Of all the home runs that you hit in your career, are there any that stand out particularly above the rest of them?
Well, actually, quite a few of them. The first one, the last one, and a lot in between. I was telling Gary Carter.
I know 4 of them.
I was telling Gary Carter today out on the golf course. That,
Billy Heff.
You know, they call him the Kid, and I said that the first home run I hit, I was 18 years old. We were playing Old Griffith Stadium in Washington, and there was a veteran left-hand pitcher on the mound by the name of Billy Heff. And when I stepped in the batter's box, the catcher was Frank House, and he called me Kid. He said, "Kid, we're going to throw you a fastball." Well, I was so young and naive, I didn't know whether he was telling me the truth or not, and sure enough, there came a fastball, and I hit it 476 feet. And I rounded the bases, and when I stepped on home plate, he said, "Kid, that's the last time we're ever going to tell you what's coming." And I don't think anybody did, or at least I didn't hear him, but Rollie tells me that he told me what was coming several times.
Well, you hit 4 home runs off me. I kept trying to throw fastballs by you, and then it got to the point where I just said, hell, I might as well tell him what's coming. Here comes a fastball, Harmon. He's going to hit it anyway, so I might as well let him know. I started getting him out then.